Welcome. In this corridor, time softens its footsteps. Doors don't call, they wait. Ahead is a library that opens by acceptance, not force. A lamp with its shade lowered. Shelves that don't topple. Sentences that arrive at the speed of trust. Tonight we prove nothing. We set down the extra and carry what matters. Walk slowly. Let the quiet take its true size. When you're ready, the door that found you is already open. You return to the corridor beyond time, beyond noise, beyond the restless mind. The air is familiar now, soft, slow, alive. You walk without hurry. Nothing here demands effort. Everything flows at the pace of silence. Behind you, the world loosens. Thoughts unhook. Memories grow light. Only awareness remains, steady, calm, a flame that does not flicker. Doors rest on each side, hundreds, thousands. You do not count them. You do not choose. You listen for the quiet that is listening back. A presence gathers in the distance. Not a glow. Not a call. A welcome that does not reach. You draw closer. The corridor does not shorten. Yet you arrive. A simple, gray door. Plain as a stone. Awake as a heartbeat. You do not knock. You do not explain. You let your hand meet the surface. Warmth to warmth. Not heat from light, but the warmth of something that understands. A breath in. Hold softly. A breath out. Longer than you expect. You notice a soft truth. The door did not appear for you to achieve it. It appeared so you could rest. The grain under your palm feels like calm made solid. Your shoulders release. Your jaw loosens. Your chest opens, quietly. Silence gathers with weight and care. It is not empty. It is presence. The door answers without sound. A seam of shadow thins. Edges ease. It does not swing wide. It simply agrees. You are not being tested. You are being met. Let the old effort drain. Like water leaving a cup you forgot you were holding. Let the need to prove fall asleep at your feet. Be here. As you are. Enough. The corridor listens with you. Somewhere far behind, the world turns. Imperfect, beautiful, distant. You breathe again. Slower. Kinder. The door waits, open just enough for the next moment. You wait with it, still, ready, unhurried. Breathe. You stand at the threshold. Then into the room, one quiet step. Another. The door settles behind you, without sound. Shelves rise like calm trees after rain. Row after row, drifting into a horizon that never arrives. Books breathe in their bindings, slow, slower, slowest. Silence gathers with texture. It has temperature. It has weight. It has care. A soft scent meets you. Paper sun-warmed, ink remembering, dust like gentle snow. Your shoulders release the last of their armor. Your face forgets how to frown. You listen. Not for words. For what remains when words rest. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Again. Slower. A hush moves through the stacks, like tide turning far away. You feel welcomed without being called, known without being named. You step between two tall aisles. Spines whisper with gold, with cloth, with threadbare patience. None of them ask to be chosen. They simply allow you to arrive. A table appears as if it had always been here. Low. Steady. At its edge, space enough for everything you brought and do not need now. You set down a thought. Then another. Then the small habit of bracing for impact. They do not fall. They fold. They rest. The room answers with a warmer quiet. Peace does not rush. It settles, like evening light finding every corner. You place your hand upon the wood. The grain runs like slow water. You feel the difference between silence and holding your breath. One constricts. The other opens. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders drop. Let the heart have room. A single book leans, only slightly, as if nodding. You do not take it yet. You honor the moment before the moment. The kindness of not hurrying. You understand. Stories here are not performed. They are kept. And when they open you. Stand a little longer. Feel the library breathe with you. Nothing to solve. Nothing to prove. Only presence. Breathe. A small desk waits without waiting. At its center, an old card catalog. Wood worn smooth by other hands. Drawers the size of a palm. Labels faded to the color of memory. You pull one open. Inside, blank cards. Not empty, available. Paper like quiet snow. You lift the first card. It does not ask for ink. It receives a feeling instead. Ease appears. Not as a word. As a temperature. Another card rises. It fills with space. Room for a breath you have not taken yet. Room for the part of you that needs more room. A third card gathers permission. The permission to be unfinished. To be in progress. To be here while becoming. You realize how long you have filed yourself. Sorted. Indexed. Explained. Perfect, broken, too much, not enough. 1,000 drawers that never loved you back. Set those labels down. Let them retire. They did their loud little job. They may rest now. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Again. Slower. You close one drawer. The one that kept old apologies. You close another. The one that archived every almost. You leave a third ajar. For miracles you don't have to predict. The wood is warm beneath your fingertips. Grain running like slow water. You feel the difference between silence and holding your breath. One tightens. The other opens. A thin bell of understanding rings without sound. You are not a file to be kept in order. You are a field that keeps finding sky. You stack the new cards. Ease, space, permission. At the front. Within reach. Within use. Within now. Somewhere between the shelves, a breeze no window could make. Dust settles like gentle weather. Your heartbeat answers in a more generous rhythm. There is nothing to prove at this desk. Only room to place what you no longer have to carry. Only time to meet yourself, kindly, again. Stand. Let your shoulders remember down. Let your mouth soften from the inside. Let your eyes rest where they land. Breathe. A single volume chooses you. Cloth-bound. Edges deckled like a coastline the moon once traced. You lift it with two hands. It has the weight of a quiet truth. Not heavy, present. Open, gently. A scene steps out, not to be watched, but felt. Warm air like summer after rain. A room you knew once without knowing why. You are there, and younger. You place a glass of water at a stranger's elbow. No one sees. Kindness is the whole event. You are there, and smaller. A voice dims you. You fold to fit the moment. Both are true. Both are allowed. The paper warms beneath your fingertips. Ink loosens. Meaning breathes. You wait, and the page seems to weep for you. So you don't have to. Breathe in, softly. Hold, a heartbeat. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Let the chest widen. Let the throat unclose. Margins show faint constellations. Specks of fiber, thread like starlight. Between them a question dissolves. Was it enough? The page answers without letters. You were. Another leaf turns itself. A door you did not enter. A goodbye said too late. A smile you saved and then forgot to give. They drift like motes in a sunbeam. Seen, then light again. You place your palm over the spine. A pulse returns, once, then again. Your heart and something older keeping time. Forgiveness arrives without ceremony. Not a verdict, a weather change. The air clears. You are not excused. You are included. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the shoulders remember down. Let the mouth soften from the inside. Close the book, kindly. Not to end it, to let it rest. Hold it to your chest a moment longer. Thank you. For carrying what I could not. For keeping what I could not keep right. A quiet knowing forms. You do not have to relive to release. You have already lived. Release comes anyway. Return the volume to the air between your hands. The library seems to nod. Keep the softness, it says. Leave the story. Softness will travel with you. The story may stay. You set the book down. Or maybe it sets you down. Either way, the room brightens a fraction. There's more space where the ache used to sit. Stand. Breathe once more, easy and real. You are ready to move. Not on, but through. Breathe. A slimmer book waits. Quiet as a path after rain. Its spine holds the weight of choices not taken. Open gently. Inside, doorways you did not cross. Streets you did not walk. Names you did not say out loud. A letter you drafted and never sent. They do not accuse. They arrive like guests who take off their shoes at the door. Polite. Complete in their own way. You bow. Not to regret, to recognition. A life is made of the chosen and the unchosen. Both shape the room you stand in now. Breathe in, softly. Hold, a heartbeat. Breathe out, longer than you expect. A map unfolds without your hands. Rivers of possibility glimmer. Then fade like tide returning to the sea. You understand. What did not happen also carried you here. Absence is a kind of guidance. Between pages, small knots appear. What ifs tied to what then? Do not pull. Place your finger on the knot, warm it with patience. Fibers loosen. Threads remember how to be thread. Another leaf turns. A city you almost moved to. A friendship you almost kept. A door that would have led to a different window. You feel a brief ache, then space behind it. Room for breath where tightness used to live. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders remember down. On the margin a sentence writes itself. You are not late to your own life. The words do not shine. They settle, like evening on a quiet street. You place a palm over the page. Heat returns from the paper. Not to burn, to belong. What you did choose grew leaves. What you did not choose became soil. Roots need both. Close the book halfway. Listen to the hush between pages. It sounds like a lake at night. Time no longer a leash. Only water that holds you up when you rest. Somewhere a shelf exhales. The library adjusts around your acceptance. By a fraction, enough. You close the book completely. Not to end it. To let the unlived rest where they live best. In kindness, not in calculation. Stand. Feel the loosened knots like open sky inside your chest. You did not fail to become. You are becoming, still. Breathe. A narrow aisle opens to a quiet alcove. One simple shelf. No lock. No glass. Only space, waiting. Labels arrive like migrating birds returning home. They land without ceremony. They fold their wings. They rest. Perfect. Broken. Too much. Not enough. Reliable. Invisible. Late. Too early. You feel how long you wore them. On your chest. On your throat. Behind your eyes. Not as truth. As habit. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. You touch the first label. It does not fight. It loosens like a sleeve turned inside out. You place it on the shelf. It becomes light. Paper again. Another label peels with a sigh you didn't know you were holding. Another slides off like dusk from a window. Skin beneath is not empty. It is new. A shallow bowl sits on the shelf. Water warm as kindness. You lay a few stubborn names in it. Adhesive melts. Meaning stays, but sharpness goes. You are not at war with names. You are ending their rule. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders remember down. On the wood, 3 blank slips wait. You choose what belongs close, not on you. Alive. Learning. Kind. They do not stick to skin. They live near the heart like lanterns. For when the path is dim, not to become the path, the shelf receives every other name. None are thrown away. They are archived, consulted if needed, dismissed if not. A quiet sentence writes itself along the edge of the board. You are not what you were called. You are what keeps unfolding when the calling stops. You stand a little taller without trying. Neck free. Breath wider. Face unguarded. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay. The alcove grows warmer by a degree. Not because the room changed. Because the weight did. You bow to the shelf. It bows back by holding, not clinging. You walk away lighter. Not empty, spacious. Breathe. Between 2 tall stacks a reading nook appears. A window without glass. A view without distance. Light arrives the way confidence does, quietly, then all at once. On the table, a book with no table of contents. Pages pale as dawn. Margins wide enough for breath. You do not ask what it is about. You let it rest under your hands. The cover is cool at first, then warm, then familiar. Possibility hums. Not a drum, a tuning fork. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Again. Slower. You open to the middle. Not the first page, not the last. A paragraph forms as you read. Not everything must be known to be kind. Not everything must be planned to be beautiful. Another line writes itself across the white. You are allowed to arrive after the fear, and still be on time. You feel it land. Your ribcage gives a little. Space where gripping used to be. The book does not hurry you. It keeps time like a friend walking at your pace. No tug. No lag. Beside you is enough. A breeze that no window could make moves the page. You see sketches of days not lived yet. Not schedules, seasons. Not tasks, tides. A kitchen with morning sun you haven't met. A deep laugh you haven't heard yet. A threshold you cross without bracing. Nothing forced. Nothing earned. Just ripeness. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders remember down. In the margin a simple promise appears. Whatever comes, comes kindly. Whatever doesn't take. You notice the old urge to clutch the future. To bind it, outline it, guarantee it. You loosen your grip instead. Ink stays. Anxiety goes. The paper smells faintly of rain that hasn't fallen. You smile without showing teeth. Relief does not shout. It unties. You turn one more leaf. There is a blank spread. Not empty, available. A place where your breath will write the pace when you get there. Close the book halfway. Let it breathe with you. You understand. Readiness is not a finish line. It is a room that lights as you enter. You set the book down. The future remains unworried. It will meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. Stand a moment at the window without glass. Let the light rest on your face. Let the clock, wherever it is, continue without chasing you. Breathe. Between two quiet aisles, a low table waits. Not empty. Available. Its surface holds a small inkwell. Dark. Still. Patient as night water. You sit without ceremony. The chair is simply space that knows how to hold a body. You place both hands on the wood. Grain like slow rivers under skin. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Again. Slower. You empty your pockets of thought. One by one. The worry that repeats. The memory that bites. The sentence that starts with what if and never finishes. Set them down. They do not crash. They settle. The inkwell receives what you pour. But the black does not darken. It clears, as if fear were silt and calm were the water beneath. A pen lies nearby. Featherlight. No nib marks yet. You do not pick it up. It begins without you. Across an untouched page, ink appears. Not fast, true. I hear you. I will carry what you do not need to carry alone. You read the line twice. It does not demand belief. It lends it. Your shoulders release another inch. Your jaw forgets the old brace. Your chest learns roundness again. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the brow soften. Let the eyes rest where they land. A second line writes itself, thinner than the first. Not everything needs a solution. Some things need a soft place to set down. The room adjusts by a fraction. Weight redistributes until nothing is heavy. Shelves exhale. A sound only silence makes. You slide 3 small worries toward the inkwell. Money, timing, what they think. They dissolve like salt. Meaning remains. Sharpness goes. You touch the page. The sentence is dry now. You could close the book. You do not. You let the words keep you open a little longer. Another message arrives, almost too light to read. Rest is not the absence of work. Rest is the presence of trust. You feel it land in the middle of your chest, where a clock used to live. The hands slow, then widen into sky. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay. You cap the inkwell, gently, as if saying goodnight to a lake. You place the pen across the margin like a bridge you can return to. You rise without losing the stillness you found seated. The table does not hold you back. It keeps nothing you still need. It kept only what you were never meant to carry alone. You bow inside. The table answers by remaining, listening for the next time, ready without reaching. Walk on. Lighter. Not empty, spacious. Breathe. Between two patient shelves, a narrow stair appears. Not grand. Not hidden. Simply there, the way kindness is simply there. You place a foot on the first step. It meets you like water meets an oar. No resistance. Only shape. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. You climb without counting. Each riser accepts your weight, translates it into quiet. Wood remembers every traveler who learned to move more slowly. Halfway up, a landing. Light without a source rests on your shoulders. You do not perform for it. You are read by it. Not judged. Known. Ascendance forms in the stillness. You can be carried without being taken. You can be held without being held back. The railing is smooth from the history of careful hands. You let your palms slide. Not to steady yourself. To listen through touch. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders remember down. On the wall, faint impressions like pressed leaves. Moments other people laid down here. Laughter that learned to whisper. Grief that learned to rest. You do not borrow them. You honor them by passing kindly. Another flight. Steps narrower now. You shorten your stride, and the stair seems to lengthen its patience. A small courtesy given, a larger one received. At the next landing, a window without glass. Air moves as if it knows your name. You open the inner door behind your ribs. Breath enters a room it forgot it owned. You look down. The library is a tide. All hush, all holding. You are not above it. You are within it from a different height. A bell that makes no sound rings once. It means, continue when ready. It means, readiness is arrival. You take the final steps. Not faster. Truer. At the top, a clear space no bigger than a heartbeat. You stand in it. You feel the difference between pause and peace. One is waiting. The other is arriving. Breathe. You place a hand on your chest. Pulse answers, yours, and something older. The stair has taught your body a softer grammar. Turn gently. Begin your descent. Steps welcome you in reverse. Like a poem read aloud and then quietly remembered. At the landing, you bow to the light that needed no lamp. It bows back by remaining. You return to the floor. Not lower, simply nearer. The shelves receive you as if you never left. Perhaps you didn't. Perhaps the climb happened inside the space you carry. Walk on. Lighter. Not empty, spacious. Breathe. A presence approaches. No footfall. No outline. Only warmth arranged in the shape of welcome. It does not ask your name. It does not need to. You are known the way a shoreline knows the tide. By rhythm, not by label. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. The air gathers like a cloak around your shoulders. Not to hide you. To keep the weather kind. Between you and the presence, an exchange without sound. Thank you for coming. Thank you for letting the books rest in you. Thank you for resting in them. You feel the words arrive without letters. They settle where hurry used to live. They loosen the hinge of your chest. A soft motion, almost visible. As if pages were turning in a wind that only wisdom feels. You understand. Nothing will be taken. Only returned. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders remember down. The presence raises a hand that is not a hand. In the space between, a small light forms. Not bright. True. It shows you as the stacks see you. Not a problem to solve. A story that keeps unfolding at a merciful pace. You offer a bow, inside. The presence bows back by remaining. No task. No test. Only a gentle permission, be exactly as you are, here. A question ripples through you. Not what next, but what's needed. The answer comes like water. Less force. More listening. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay. The presence moves slightly to one side. Making space without leaving. You realize this is what guidance can be. Company that doesn't push. Light that doesn't glare. A final sentence writes itself on the quiet. When you forget the way, stop walking faster. Let stillness point. You nod. The light thins to a thread, then to warmth, then to air. The presence remains everywhere the books are. Which is to say, all around, and also within. You take one soft step forward. Not away from it. With it. Breathe. A deeper hush opens at the back of the stacks. A door that is also a curtain of dusk. You part it with a fingertip. Night slips in without darkening the room. Inside, low lamps like moons and bowls. Pillows the color of first shadow. Blankets woven from everything you have already survived. You lie down, without lying to yourself. The mattress receives you as water receives a leaf. Not pulling under. Holding up. Breathe in, gently. Hold, softly. Breathe out, longer than you expect. Again. Slower. The ceiling is a soft archive. Every breath you've ever taken is a page. Turning itself, turning you. You do not close your eyes to flee. You close them to listen. To the way silence gathers around a tired animal. And calls it safe. A ledger opens on the table beside you. No lines. No totals. Only entries written in warmth. You showed up. You tried again. You rested when you could. You are allowed to rest now. Your shoulders remember down. Your jaw remembers softness. Your hands uncurl like ferns in reverse. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let the brow smooth. Let the heart widen its door. From somewhere behind the shelves, pages turn like slow waves. not to drown you, to rock you toward the shore you already reached. Thought dissolves like ink in warm water. Meaning remains. Peace remains. You remain. You roll one thought to the edge of the bed. The one that insists on finishing the future before it arrives. It slides off, lands in a basket of quiet. It will not wake you tonight. A second thought knocks. What they think. You offer it a pillow outside your rib cage. It falls asleep first. The lamps dim by a fraction. Not to hide the world. To let it rest. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay. You are not quitting. You are keeping the promise that living asks of everyone. To pause. So the body can keep speaking kindly to the soul. A final note writes itself along the inside of your breath. Sleep is not escape. Sleep is the library filing what you learned into places you can reach tomorrow. You turn onto your side. The blanket has the texture of forgiveness. The pillow remembers the shape of your earliest comfort. Stay a little longer in the room that keeps no clocks. Let every shelf breathe with you. When you rise, you will not have lost time. Time will have softened. Breathe. The darker room loosens around you. Not a goodbye, an easing. You sit up. Fabric remembers your shape, then lets it go. The lamps hold their small moons. You smooth the blanket with the back of your hand. No spell breaks. The quiet stays where it is, and where you are. You stand. The ledger on the table keeps its open page. It does not need your signature. It has already recorded presence. When you step through the dusk curtain, the shelves greet you the way trees greet returning birds. By offering a place to land, not a question to answer. You trail your fingers along a few spines. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No book asks to come with you. None tries to follow. They do the kinder thing. They trust you to keep what is yours without holding you to it. In the long aisle, light gathers by degrees. Not brighter, truer. It shows dust turning in slow air like a constellation that only appears indoors. You walk through it and do not disturb it. You are part of the pattern. A small table waits where you left it. The capped inkwell is a quiet lake. You touch the cool lid. Not to reopen it. To remember the way the water cleared. On the shelf of names, the slips you chose stay close. Alive. Learning. Kind. They do not cling. They steady. At the corner where two aisles meet, the presence from earlier is everywhere at once. No outline. Only welcome. You bow inside. It remains by remaining. You notice the door in the distance. Not a summons. An agreement. You and the door recognize each other without effort. You take your time. Walking is different now. Less push, more belonging. The library keeps pace, then lets you reach the threshold first. Hand to wood. Warmth returns. Not from heat. From understanding. You do not close anything behind you. You carry the hinge forward. What needs to rest will rest here. What needs to travel is already in your keeping. The seam opens a little. Enough. You look back once, not to check, to bless. Thank you for your keeping. Thank you for your letting go. You step through. The corridor receives you with the ease of water taking back its river. It feels the same, and not the same. Silence has learned your name. You have learned its grammar. Pause. Walk on, not faster, truer. Some doors hum. Some sleep. Tonight, you are not searching. You are accompanied. You will come back when you need to. When you don't, the library will return to you. In the way a calm returns to the chest it trusts. Fade, a fraction. Brighten, within. The door yields a last gesture of warmth under your palm, and then you are through, back in the corridor that remembers your footsteps the way a shoreline remembers a tide. The air is deeper here than when you first arrived. It has the scent of wood long at rest, of dust that has chosen where to settle. Light pools and quiet alcoves along the floor and lifts gently along the walls, as if the corridor were breathing for the rooms it protects. You walk without hurry, your stride newly tuned to the library's patient tempo. Doors pass like constellations, some dim and sleeping, some bright with the hush that precedes a beginning. Their hinges do not creak, their secrets do not jostle for attention. They exist the way a night sky exists, entirely, and without argument. You do not feel called to choose. You feel accompanied by choice itself, as if the corridor were saying, "You have time. You have always had time." Your chest holds a quiet that wasn't there before, not a vacancy but a chamber made for light. The shelves you met behind the gray door seem to have rearranged themselves inside you, steadier now, less eager to topple at the rumor of a storm. When thoughts approach, they place their bags down first. When memories arrive, they take off their shoes. Nothing needs to shout. The long runner beneath your feet has a slow weave, a rhythm you can feel in your ankles and spine. It tells you a simple thing: pace is not the enemy of arrival. Pace is the shape of it. The corridor lengthens and narrows and widens again, and with each change your attention softens, as if seeing were a form of listening you had almost forgotten how to do. A door on your left hums like a bowl struck once and allowed to ring. Another carries the cool of rain that hasn't fallen yet. A third is absurdly plain, which makes it somehow important. You nod to each the way travelers nod at milestones they will pass again. You don't catalog what you feel, you allow it to be filed in the place the library will find when it needs to open you next. Ahead, the dark that used to feel like distance now reads as depth. The corridor is not a tunnel, you realize. It is a river made of rooms, and you are walking along its surface without sinking. Your hand, warmed by the door, still carries the memory of understanding rather than heat. You press that palm briefly against your own sternum and feel the answering steadiness there, the small lamp the librarian left lit. You glance once over your shoulder, not in doubt, but in blessing, toward the door that found you first and will find you again if needed. The corridor accepts the gesture. Dust turns in a slow orbit, and then hangs as if the air has decided to be glass for a breath. You keep moving. Not faster, truer. The world you will soon rejoin waits somewhere past the far bend, imperfect, bright in places, thin in others, alive everywhere. When you meet it, you will bring a grammar of quiet it does not know how to refuse. You will set things down before you lift others up. You will make space without taking any. For now, simply continue. The hush recognizes your cadence and matches it. The doors drift by, promising nothing and withholding nothing. Somewhere, a clock decides not to count. Somewhere, a pen decides to rest with its cap on. And somewhere inside the place you carry, a page turns, softly, without needing to be read to be understood. Fade a fraction, not away but inward. Let the light you're keeping take its right size. The corridor goes on, and so do you, not searching, but accompanied. When you need it, you will return. When you don't, the library will return to you, in the loosening of a jaw, in a room that feels bigger than its walls, in the kindness of an unhurried step. The corridor receives your pace and keeps it, as if each step were a line entered into a ledger no one has to balance. The runner underfoot becomes faint handwriting, your soles are the ink, your weight the punctuation. Nothing hurries the sentence you are making. Along the right wall, shallow niches open like commas in stone. Within them, small placards with simple headings, kept, released, awaiting light. You slow without stopping. A memory brushes your sleeve and moves toward released on its own. A hope you once tried to force chooses awaiting light and looks better for the waiting. An old strength you forgot you had sits under kept like a well-folded blanket, available without announcement. Dust hangs where lamplight thickens, not dull but golden, a constellation that stays visible only indoors. Your fingers track the wood grain of the wainscot, the line is long and patient, like the sentence a river makes while remembering a mountain. You realize the library is not behind you, it is accompanying you in gentler forms, in the way the floor yields instead of resists, in the air's new habit of not grabbing, in the clarity that does not glare. A moth appears from a shadowed lintel, its wings paper-thin, veined like leaves. It draws a figure 8 in the hush, then lands on a tiny brass bell under a glass dome. The bell does not ring. It doesn't need to. You understand the message without sound. What needs attention will find you in silence first. You pass a recess containing a narrow case. Inside, a single page floats between panes of glass. No letters. Only a waterline, faint and silver. You know this mark, it is the level to which your worry rose and receded, and you are quietly proud of the shoreline it left. The case bears no lock. It bears no instruction. It trusts you to look and not grip. Farther on, the air cools the way it does near stone that remembers winter. Your hand, still warm from the door you left, lifts to your sternum. The heat there answers with a steadiness that feels older than mood. You consider how many times the hinge on your chest used to squeal, now it moves with oil you cannot see. You think of the librarian's light, how it refused to dazzle and therefore kept you honest. A whisper of felt against wood, a book cart rolled somewhere you cannot see. You picture the volumes, quiet spines facing outward, each one a lantern with its shade drawn. You know now you don't have to read them all to be read by them. Meaning is less a task than a climate you can stand in. At a cross corridor, 2 doors face each other. The left one carries the cool of distant rain, the right one has no temperature at all, which somehow feels braver. You bow your head fractionally to both. Neither calls. Neither chastens. The choice is yours and not urgent, which is the same as saying it is safe. You move on and the runner deepens beneath your feet, soft as the inside of a coat in winter. The rhythm that began in the library continues, set down, then lift, arrive, then allow. You notice how the world outside, its bright corners and thin ones, will not be able to outshout this cadence unless you let it. A small vow forms without ceremony, you won't. The corridor bends. The darkness ahead is no longer the absence of light, it is the shelter light prefers. Somewhere behind a panel, a clock remembers it has nothing to prove and agrees not to count. Somewhere in your pocketless coat, your hands feel unburdened enough to swing. You do not pause to gather yourself because you do not feel scattered. You pass another niche. Inside rests a bell jar with a single syllable in it, your name's quiet sender. You don't speak it. You feel it. The jar does not fog. The sender does not need air to stay alive. The floor and the breath of the hall agree on a pace and you keep it, not as discipline but as ease. Doors drift by, some humming, some asleep. When the world returns, you will bring this tempo with you like a key that opens rooms without scraping at the lock. Continue, then. The ledger of your passing fills with a neat line that asks for nothing and gives you back the shape of your own steps. Past the next bend, whatever waits will do so without reaching. You will arrive in your time. You always did. The corridor gentles into a slow bend, and the floors weave changes, threads crossing like faint lines on an old map. There is no signboard, no arrow, only a patient suggestion that direction is less about left or right and more about how you move within either. On a pedestal ahead sits a compass with no needle. Its face is a shallow bowl of glass. Under the glass, for small words etched into the brass rim, should, want, fear, true. The bowl holds a single drop of clear water. It steadies, then leans, not to a cardinal point but toward an honesty you can feel in your ribs. The droplet answers to warmth and weight, not magnets. When your attention tightens, it skitters toward fear. When your shoulders settle, it glides toward true. You do not touch the glass. You let your posture be the question. The water brightens in place, as if light prefers stillness. Your chest loosens by a notch. The droplet finds its home and stays. Across from the pedestal, a frieze runs along the wall, shallow carvings of people walking corridors like this one. Some carry closed books against their hearts. Some carry nothing and seem lighter for it. One figure holds a lamp with the shade lowered. The glow is discreet, the way kindness is discreet. You recognize something of your stance in their stone shoulders, less brace, more belonging. A narrow table waits beneath the frieze. On it, for river stones rest in a line. Without labels, you know them. Hurry, river smooth and cool, pleasing, warm from many hands, proving, heavy for its size, listening, light as if carved from dusk. You lift none of them. You simply stand near long enough to feel which one your day has been carrying. The answer arrives without language. You thank the table by letting your hands stay empty. Farther on, the air tastes faintly of metal, the way air does near bells that haven't been rung for a long time. From behind a panel, a clock practices not counting and gets better at it. The runner underfoot softens until your steps sound like lines whispered to a friend you trust. Even the shadows lengthen kindly. You come to an alcove shaped like a compass rose. In its center, a small plaque carries a single sentence, "Go where silence keeps its promise." No flourish. No emblem. The promise is simple, where you can set something down before picking anything up, where your name is not a verdict but a seed. You test the sentence against your own weather. It holds. The corridor seems to agree, light tipping along the baseboards, dust drifting in slow, considerate spirals. You sense the path is not a thread you could lose but a tide you can wade, and it will carry you even when you stop swimming. At the far edge of the alcove a doorless arch opens, dark the way deep water is dark, inviting, not erasing. You step toward it with the ease you've been practicing. No rush, no drag, the lamp the librarian left still warm behind your sternum. The compass with no needle stays behind, not to be consulted again, but to be remembered when you become it. Continue, unforced, oriented by ease rather than angles. Whatever waits beyond the arch will not demand that you hurry. It will ask that you arrive. The arch ahead holds no door, only depth, shadow-shaped like welcome. You pass beneath it, and the corridor becomes a river again, slow breathing under the skin of stone. Light gathers along the baseboards in silver threads, as if the walls were hemming the night. Your steps fall into that older rhythm, less push, more belonging. The air has the taste of bells that haven't rung in years. Somewhere behind a panel, a patient clock remembers not to count. It agrees with your pulse. Along the left wall, a narrow case holds a single object, a brass key with no teeth. It glows the way a lesson glows, after it stops trying to teach you. You understand without touching. This opens what opens by being met, not forced. You keep walking, and keeping is enough. Ahead, the corridor bends and widens the way a thought widens when you stop arguing with it. Shelves drift inside you now, their balance is yours. When a memory arrives, it removes its shoes. When a question arrives, it speaks at the volume of rain that hasn't fallen yet. You listen because listening no longer costs you. A cool breath moves across the floor, turns the dust to a constellation that only exists indoors, then lets it settle again. You do not disturb it. You are part of its pattern. On a small plinth, a page rests under glass. No letters, only a faint waterline, the mark of where your worry rose and receded. There is room above it now. You smile without showing teeth. Another alcove opens, an inward balcony. From here the corridor looks less like a hall and more like a map of choices that never needed defending. You see the gray door in your memory, how it opened by acceptance and not angle. You keep that grammar in your chest, a lamp with the shade lowered. The world waits somewhere beyond the next turn, imperfect, bright in places, thin in others, alive everywhere. You will meet it carrying shelves that do not topple, a hinge that no longer squeals, a pace that refuses to be rushed. You will set things down before lifting anything else. You will make space without taking any. The arch recedes behind you like a breath you forgot to hold. Ahead the hush grows warmer by a degree, not because the corridor has changed, but because the weight has. You are not searching. You are accompanied. The corridor bends one last time, and the hush changes character, less like a room, more like a shoreline at first light. The walls carry the faint scent of old wood, rain that never needed to fall, ink that found its sentence. You have walked a long way without leaving. You are not returning from the library, you are carrying it where you go. On your right, a narrow recess holds familiar signs, the toothless key, the compass with no needle, a capped inkwell that has learned your voice, 3 slips that read what you chose to keep, alive, learning, kind. None request attention. They shine the way patience shines, by staying. Ahead, the gray door from before is nowhere to be seen, and somehow that is right. The door that found you does not need to repeat itself. It left you with a hinge that moves without squeal, shelves that do not topple at rumor, a step that refuses to hurry and therefore arrives. A soft bell breeze moves the dust into a quiet constellation and lets it settle again. You understand without reaching for words. Meaning is not a target, it is a climate. You stand in it now. The librarian's unseen hand is still a warmth along your sternum, a lamp with the shade lowered. Guidance that doesn't push. Light that doesn't glare. You pass the place where the stair of soft steps would be, and your body remembers each riser, how it translated weight into quiet. You pass the listening table, though you cannot see it, your shoulders answer by resting another degree. Somewhere a cart rolls, felt wheels whispering through wood, the books are awake and unafraid, and so are you. The corridor opens into a mild, doorless brightness, the way a thought opens when it is done proving itself. Far past the bend you cannot see, the world waits, imperfect and fully alive. It does not know the grammar you are bringing, not yet, to set something down before lifting anything else, to choose what is true over what is loud, to make space without taking any. You pause, not to gather, but to bless, the room that let pages breathe for you, the shelf of names that ended their rule, the map of unlived paths that became soil for roots you did grow. None of this leaves when you do. It travels the way trust travels, quietly, exactly, in the direction of what matters. Your palm warms with a memory of wood. The invisible hinge opens forward. No lock is asked for, no key is needed. The corridor agrees with your pace and steps aside. If night is near, it will carry you to sleep without subtracting you. If morning is near, it will meet you with the soft insistence of light on a windowsill. Either way, you will know what to do because you no longer need to rush to do it. Walk out, not faster, truer. Keep the lamp low and steady. Let doors be doors. Let pages be pages. Let silence keep its promise. And when some future ache presses like a finger against your ribs, you will remember the way back is not far and not hard. It is here, a hand to wood, a room that understands, a story that does not need to be read to be real. The corridor continues beyond you, and with you. The library remains within reach because it is within you. Rest well, reader. Rest well, story. Good night.